do a podcast? We make a darn good team. It always goes without a hitch. Let's head to Twitch and go start up the stream. Do you want to do a podcast? It's the Nerd Glasses Podcast. Let's start now. Hi everyone and welcome to the Nerd Glasses Podcast. Come? Alright, I'll do my own bit for myself. Oh wait, no silence. We're doing it. Get off the road.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Nerd Glasses Podcast. I'm Boater.
I'm Dave Mann.
Dave, I know that you came in just a little bit late just now. I wanted to ask though, have you been watching Danny NASCAR that's been on just before us the past couple weeks?
Now, Boater, I don't know if you know about the history, the illustrious and long history of Danny NASCAR, but its roots are in Sunday, deeply rooted in my programs, which broadcasts go all the way back to before Insane Games TV, when Dan would come in on Sunday morning thinking he was alone in the store, and he would open the gate and he would turn and go, "Ah!" as I'm there playing Overwatch, going, "Hi, Dan." And then you'd go back. Danny NASCAR is not just a show; it's a way of life.
Well, this way of life, I tuned in just before how things were going, just before Nerd Glasses tonight. He was playing NASCAR Heat 5,
Yeah.
which I think just came out. It was his first time playing it. He jumped straight into online play. He was not having a good time. There was crashing, there was foul language, the whole nine. So, Dave, I guess you could say that Dan was getting a little heated. Because it's NASCAR Heat. Okay. Hi, everybody, and welcome! I didn't have a joke prepared.
Game title puns are not acceptable, sir.
Game title puns are always acceptable. Hello, Connor B. How you doing today? And hello to everyone else that is out there in chat. Hope to see you talking a fair amount because we just love hearing from you guys on the various topics we're going to be talking about. I don't know what the topics are, frankly. I realized about 5 minutes to start that I wasn't bringing anything to the table except for a really bad joke. And informing Dave that Nerd Glasses went quite well last week, as I bumbled for about 15 minutes and then had a co-host to talk Hamilton with for the rest of the time.
Very nice.
So, no, more like rigor mortis. Don't leave. You were said co-host and it went well. So it's, I think this past week was not E3. Like all the conferences that people would have had during the week of E3, they ended up having on their own. Ubisoft was a big one, and we've seen a lot out of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which we talked about a month ago. Actually noticed Game Grumps put up a playthrough of that stuff. Like, do you want to watch this? I'm like, that is not the kind of game that I'm interested in watching them play. But maybe?
How do they get an advance copy and we don't? And don't say it's because they're big internet celebrities, okay? Because I have at least one person go in the mall, "Do I know you from somewhere?" And I go, "Yes, you do." And it's certainly not from Twitch.
I'm sure that it's because they are voice actors in House Party.
Oh.
They played House Party. It was a big hit for their channel, and then the developers were like, "We're going to be putting more storylines and stuff into this, and we want to have you guys in it." And they were like, "Hell yeah!"
And so
and then of course they played that. They played that with them in the game, and it was a trip. But that's old news. So I say this thing about the press conferences last week, but I don't actually have any news from them aside from like, yeah, I've heard a lot about Valhalla. So Dave, I'm hoping you can cast me a line here.
Well then, Boater, I'm going to ask you if you want to take the Ubisoft Forward pill or the Google Stadia pill, because those were the two big conferences this weekend, and I cannot overemphasize the air quotes and the underlining of big conferences.
Oh boy. Demon Dragon pointing out it was actually a contest that they won for that Game Grumps won for House Party, but still nice. they were contest winners, and that's why they get to play Valhalla. Okay, so Google Stadia or Ubisoft Forward?
Yes.
Well, let's start with Google Stadia because I at least know what that is, and I'm pretty sure I know where this is going. I'm assuming that they are throwing the dirt on top of the coffin now.
Close. They're still doing that Google thing where they're going, it's going fine. We've got some games. Well, what are you doing with the system? We've got some more games coming. You know what's really going to move the needle for them? Hitman 3, Hello Neighbor, Hide and Seek, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. That might. NBA 2K21, Dead by Daylight, WWE 2K Battlegrounds, big game, big news. Hitman 1 and 2.
Well, one of the things we talked about last week was how NBA 2K21 is going to be $70 on the PS5 and PS5. Yeah, I'm sorry, I lost my numbers for a second. PS5 and Xbox Series X. How much will it be on Google Stadia? $13?
No, it'll be probably $79.99. They're going to charge the exact same amount of price to you, except that you don't get to have the game.
Yeah. It's $69.99, $70. Of course, unless you get some stupid bonus thing with in-game bonuses. But okay, so Stadia's thing is very much we're the same price as the big boys.
Yep.
And you're leasing it.
The biggest parts of it that they announced this weekend was popular title online is Orcs Must Die, and it's getting a third installment, and it will now be free with Stadia Pro. So if you upgrade to their premium service, you are getting it's a pretty fun game. Do we want to see a clip of that game?
Sure, why not?
It honestly, like, it's not enough to get me to wanna play it or pay for it, but I mean, it looks fun, and so I wouldn't turn up my nose at it if I got it for free.
Connor B saying nobody I know seems to be interested in Stadia, and I'm only interested in Stadia for the lulz. Like there's, okay, hold on. Sorry, I'm trying to bring it up to be able to watch the thing. But like pretty much it's that's still a thing is more or less how I keep on hearing about Stadia.
There is a singular caveat that we'll watch after Ogres Must Die, Ogres Must Die. Whatever the game title is, they're not giving us a free advance copy, so I don't really care. But it looks fun, realistically, as you guys are seeing the clips down here. It's your typical fantasy sort of game. And if you're into that sort of thing, which if you watch the Citadel or any of my streams at DEM314, you know that it is our bag.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
It's our bag.
Yeah, it's our genre.
And just look at it. Like, that looks fun. It looks fun, and damn it,
I
wish I was more interested.
It's also one of those things that just like, boy, that seems great. It's a shame it's on that console. Yep. Like, how many times have you said that in history where you're like, hey, yeah, that looks good. It's a shame. Like, whether it's gee, I only have a PS3. It's a shame that that's on Xbox 360.
Oh my god.
Or whether it's like, hey, that looks fun. It's a shame it's on the PSP. Whether it's on a legitimate other console or handheld that you don't have, or whether it's on... Insert your own counterpoint to the word legitimate. I'll let you fill in that blank.
But yeah, like, look at this. Like, it looks like they took the tower defense sort of methodology and approach, and then they made it a third-person fantasy game. And, like, damn, if I was more interested, I would definitely play that.
Yeah, I would drop like $20 for that on Steam. Sorry, excuse me as I look up how much something like that would be on Steam.
Ooh, I do look, because the big thing about the developers and the thing that they announced for Stadia, and the reason that makes me think that Google hasn't yet gotten the shovel out or at least prepped the ground to bury it, is there are 3 developers that still have Stadia.
Death Stranding is on Steam now. Sorry, continue. That's about the most we're going to talk about.
You ruined a future story.
Sorry, I opened up Steam and I'm like, oh hey, there was also a Halo 3 thing. Continue.
Boner! You're burying all the leads here.
Previous
so
Orcs
Stadia...
Must Die games are on PC. The first one is $10. The second one is $15.
Again, I'll probably buy them once I upgrade this. Once I win the lottery and upgrade this PC.
Yeah.
Um, so Stadia announced that they have 3 companies developing games exclusively for their streaming platform, and you want that if
Ah.
you're paying for it. However, the 3 names that caught my attention. Thank you very much for the follow, Connor B. By the way, excellent job in joining on the fun and adventures. Those 3 companies that are making exclusive games are Uppercut Games, who made City of Brass. Kind of doesn't do it for me, but for a lot of people it will.
I hear City of Brass and I think of a novel.
Supermassive
From everything I
Games.
hear, it was a good novel. I just haven't read it yet.
Nice. Supermassive Games, who made Until Dawn, a storyline sort of
Okay.
a horror game, at which I'm very interested to see what they make because they make very fun games. And then the third one that piqued my curiosity the most was Harmonix. You know, the guys that that made the original Guitar Hero and then got kicked off of it, and
That
then
was a spit take.
made Rock Band and then
Mhm.
ruined Rock Band. So
Oh
they're
no,
apparently
Harmonix did not ruin Rock Band. Activision kept going full tilt forward with Guitar Hero everything and oversaturated the game music market. I'm not going
yes,
to blame Harmonix for what happened to the music game, the
but
rhythm
if
game
you look
industry.
at Harmonix is equal to blame because they also cranked out a whole mess of bad Rock Band games. Band Hero, really?
Band Hero was a Guitar Hero game.
It's bad. It's all bad.
Band
and they
Hero
really should
wasn't
have not made
Harmonix.
more than
Band
one of them a
Hero
year.
was Activision. Like Rock Band
Harmonix
was
did
Rock Band
not help
1, 2,
themselves.
3, Beatles, simply because the Beatles catalog was like, no, we needs to be our own game.
Mhm.
I think Green Day, which was a little, and Lego Rock Band was amazing. I do not talk shit about Rock Band to me, good sir.
Harmonix still should have read the room and looked and thought, Guitar Hero just put out 16 games. Maybe we wait just 1/4 to put out
For
another
Activision to put out
peripheral.
3 more? No, they got good ones out while the market was still good, and then they waited like 6 years to put out Rock Band 3. They waited until people were able to like catch their breath from being trampled by Activision, then say, maybe a rhythm game wouldn't be such a bad idea. Harmonix goes, boy howdy, have I got one for you now.
Let's just hope
It can't
that
fully import
whatever-
all of the previous songs like our previous ones could, but I mean, still, does it have a new instrument? It's got keyboard. Can I play Piano Man? You can play Piano Man. Okay, please gimme.
Our bias is showing which company we really liked, but whatever product it is that Harmonix is working on, I hope it is in the creative vein of a Beatles Rock Band or the other games, because it's clear that when they're a company that can create beautiful art as well as games, and I hope that they're able to do that for Stadia. I hope that in a year's time, I'm having to officially acknowledge and eat crow, but I have a feeling that we'll be having a special post-mortem nerd glasses for Google Stadia around this time next year.
Yeah,
But,
but I
mark
don't
that down in the history
think
books.
that it's not going to be because of any of those developers, though. It's going to be
No.
because of what Stadia is, and its general model of working. Although its whole like no physical copies, just playing off the servers, whatever. To some extent, like the Stadia always plays live off of servers. It's not downloaded to the system, correct? Like that's its whole
Nope.
thing.
It's just connecting to the internet to play the game from a server out there.
Yeah, so it's like on the one hand you can make a comparison to the digital only PS5, where it's like, oh well, if it's taken off of the store, then it's done, and you're not able to play it again. But a digital only PS5 will still be able to download things.
That's why I still have my copy of PT.
Yes, exactly. So it's even if it's taken down, if you've downloaded it, you'll still be able to play it on that, as opposed to when the Stadia servers go down, all that money's gone. And like this is something that the music industry sorted out 20 years ago, 15 years ago, when iTunes was like, here, have all of our DRM locked music when you download, and then like other things would do the same, and then their servers would go down, and then you wouldn't get to play your music that you'd paid for. The difference is with music, they can release DRM-free MP3s or other formats. I don't even know. Honestly, I'm trying to think of other delivery formats. Anyway, MP3s. But like a game cannot be delivered DRM free, or a console game cannot be delivered DRM free because you still need to have that hardware to play on. And by which I mean, if the server goes down, you're not going to be able to play it because that's the hardware that it's tied to. A PC game can be delivered DRM free, and that is still an ongoing debate and point of contention that sometimes comes up, where it's like, all right, cool, I'm really looking forward to this game, and like you're like, oh, it's a shame it's with that console. I'm really looking forward to this game. It's a shame that they're going to use X DRM software, which is basically installing adware on my system. Sorry, I went on a bit of a DRM rant, but
no.
I mean, it boils
it's
down
good...
to Stadia like doing the same thing. It's when their servers go down, and it's not if, it's when. Even if they are super successful and the Stadia is around for 5, 10 years, whatever, eventually the console is going to get replaced with something else.
Yep.
Maybe a Stadia 2. In which case, okay, well, they can still keep some of those up, but eventually to keep all those old games on the servers, they're gonna, have to make some room. And yes, it's Google or whatever, but like, it's an interesting problem for the future. But I'm pretty sure that in a year, they're, I'm surprised they're not killing Stadia already. We'll see.
I heavily doubt COVID did. Actually, it probably helped it, but in regards to just the fact that you buy the Stadia controller and set up from them, and they send it to you, and then there it is. Because when families were looking for PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo Switch, Google's... we'll get the Googles, son. We'll get the Googles. Don't worry about it. We'll play some games.
If this happened a lot closer to Christmas, I could definitely see that being the, wow, everyone's out, but there's all these Google machines here, so we'll just buy this for the kid. That'll be fine. It's got the controller that he likes.
The amount of parents that come home just with like Alexas and crap like that. I brought you the Google Play machine. Like,
yeah. Of course, this is also like, it's an interesting stereotype, but at the same time, Dave, these parents that we're talking about getting stuff for kids that are, 5, 10, 15, these parents are like close to our age. We're at least a little savvy about this kind of thing. We're not going to, when it comes to game consoles, we're at least going to have a clue. Now, I don't know what we're not going to have a clue about, and I'm going to feel very sad about it when it happens. Pretty much, it's just like, oh, well, my daughter just sent me this thing on the TikToks, but I don't know how to watch it because it's not a YouTube video.
It'll be... I just... there are lots of people that still come into the store and say the Nintendo in reference to just a blanket term for all the video game systems, and then they get mad when they bought a new Xbox One. They didn't buy an Xbox One, but they certainly did hear that said once.
Uh-huh.
And how come I can't play the Mario on the Xbox One? And it's like, listen, like, nope.
Yeah.
Demon Dragon for the non-gamer parents. Every game system is and forever will be on Nintendo. And that...
I think, like, I think PlayStation is going to be the generic one going forward. Like, for a while, I remember working and people thinking like Xbox as a generic, like during the Xbox 360, like that was the big one. So just, oh, an Xbox. Oh, so you're looking at... Actually, I don't know what I want. I didn't know there were so many options. Those parents also know nothing about broadband speeds, and the Kid Stadia will be laggy as hell. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow, yeah. Because they're just
Where do
thinking
I
it's a
plug this into
console.
the internet?
You get this, you slap your cartridge in, or you slap in your CD, and nope. What do you mean it's got to be connected to the internet the whole time? Daddy's got to watch porn this entire time. You can't be playing a game on that connection. I mean, Daddy's doing
Well,
Zoom meetings for
no,
work.
I mean, once football comes back, it'll change, but that's probably what they're doing right now. Oh man. It'll be very interesting to see what survives
Hmm.
these times. Um, but before we go into Ubisoft Forward, which is it's not E3, but we're doing big announcements.
Okay, so
Ubisoft,
Ubisoft Forward was just the name of their conference?
yes.
Okay, cool. I thought it was
Uh,
like, oh my god, did they announce some new stupid subscription service?
Well, I mean, they didn't, but they could have. What they did announce before Ubisoft Forward was their chief creative officer, and who is this other guy? The head of their Canadian studios, whose names are very interesting, and I am not going to try to pronounce them, but just know that two very high executives in Ubisoft, shock, awe, were accused of sexual misconduct and had to just go away.
Hmm.
Um, and So it'll be very interesting to see how that changes how Ubisoft does things going forward, considering that now the head creative for the newest Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and now a bunch of these other creative and producers are all stepping away. So these projects, I know Valhalla's most likely all storyboarded out at this point. If that's how they choose to do their creative process, I don't know.
Yeah.
But so those things, but the games that are still in development that we're going to talk about, I'm curious as to how those are going to be affected with these big high level creative minds changing of the guard. Because in the Fortune 500 business, if you do something the way the person who left before you does it, you're also going to get fired. So uh, they just run under the auspice of different. I'm different, so I'm better. Like,
Yeah, that's something that you see a lot when you hear about how a game failed. There was a big thing of Mass Effect Andromeda as to how it did poorly. When you hear about canceled games from other things, it's that people came in that had a different idea for the how the team should be run, different idea of the leadership, a different creative direction, whatever. And when you join in to a project in progress, um, like there's this pressure to leave your thumbprint on it. And so like the positions where people left were yeah, the head of the Canadian studios, the head of I think Ubisoft Montreal, as well as Ubisoft's overall chief creative officer. And these are people
yep.
that would have input on games. But like, if someone comes in next week and they're like, yes, here is where Valhalla is. Please show me all of the roadmaps and everything that you have for this game. That all looks fine. Is that working for you? Is that working for you guys? Cool. Leave it. Not, but what if we did this?
Demon Dragon. I think the official business terminology is to
Shake
shake
things up.
things up.
Yes. We'll give that boat a little bit of a rock there.
Oh God. And it's not to say, however, I am a product from a couple different companies um, that would fold their arms and go, well, it's the way it was always done, which doesn't make it right. Just as
Yeah,
a heads up.
that's the
But
thing is that like if there's the way it was always done, like it is worth looking at structures and saying, oh, okay, what can we do? But like Valhalla's laid it far enough along that it's okay, let's just let that keep moving. I will provide leadership and direction when needed, but otherwise, here's our roadmap. Things that are earlier on, then maybe yeah, like give a little more structure to, saying okay, how can we do things a little bit differently? What's working with you? Okay, let's try this. But it's so disappointing when I read there's a really lengthy postmortem on Mass Effect Andromeda that I've read a few times, and it's just really depressing because it's lack of leadership, and then new leadership coming in and being like, well, what if we did this? What if we did handstands every Tuesday and drank Yoo-hoo through a curly straw? I don't think
Now,
that's gonna help, or let's do it!
now, Boder, I, as someone whose main career is in education, can in no way relate to our world being invaded by outsiders. However, let me just say that it's interesting that companies, once they get these higher level positions opened up, they do decide to shake things up by bringing in outsider. But the problem is that these outsiders have zero experience and know-how of how to motivate and how to relate to their workers and
And
how to
like
relate to the
zero
product.
skin in the game. Like I love it when I hear that someone has been promoted from within a team.
Yep.
But when you bring in someone from outside and it's just, whether it's creatively where you bring in someone that's had no input on the game, in creating the concept for the game, whatever, and bringing them in to oversee it, which is just a slap in the face to the people that have been working on it for a year and a half for 60 hours a week. Or whether it's like, all right, yes, well, we have decided to sell off our company to some financial investment thing, and they want to see returns, and they're going to provide their own officers for whatever. I think the Gawker, now Gizmodo, because they shelved the big one, like, which includes Kotaku and Jalopnik, whatever. Like that whole masthead, like has gone through that a few times, and that's why rest in peace Deadspin last year, because someone was like, yes. Well, I think this is the way we should do it. You guys should really stick to sports. And it's like, who the fuck are you? You haven't been here the last 13 years if we've established an audience and a brand. You know what? We're gone. Rest in peace, Deadspin. It's not around anymore. Like, you gotta be careful when you come in to an established um, environment, an established culture. Now, that being said, sometimes you come into a culture and just that entire culture is toxic. Um, the misconduct allegations that were made against those two executives at Ubisoft, those weren't the only two allegations made. There are accusations of a toxic culture of sexual misconduct at Ubisoft. And so if you are brought in from outside, your number one priority should be clean that shit up. So I can see the benefits of bringing in people outside when there is a culture issue, but when it's like, well, so and so left and we need to bring in someone to do this, it's bringing in someone rather than promoting from within the team that has worked hard is just a big old slap in the face. I don't know how we got on that topic, Dave. I just ranted for about like 10 minutes. This is why you bring the topics and I rant.
Well, I mean, Ubisoft is a company that deserves to have that auspice of corporate culture broadcasted around it because it doesn't make as much headway in news as an Activision Blizzard, as an Epic Games, or things like that these days. So their lesser evil seems to just kind of get swept under at this point. So it doesn't hurt to remind people that, by the way, like, all of your AAA video game companies are unfortunately just a cesspool of crunch and
When
just
when you think
bad upper
of
management decisions.
when you think of big developers just by size, just by how big they feel, where like I would rank Ubisoft as number three. I think like I'm not sure whether Activision or EA are like the biggest, but it's the two of them and then Ubisoft in my opinion. And like certainly then there are other like AAA publishers as well. You mentioned Epic, Microsoft as a publisher, PlayStation as a publisher, Nintendo as a publisher. Certainly for their own things, but like yeah, like I do think of Ubisoft firmly as number three. And yeah, because Activision and EA are always making news, not always for the best reasons, usually not for the best reasons, it's easy to think of Ubisoft as, oh, they're fine. They're not that big that they'll be awful and corrupt and do bad things. Of course, it's not the case.
I just it'll so to cover into the big things that they announced.
Yes, so now that we've talked about
So
what happened before Ubisoft Forward, they intentionally, they did that ahead of time, and then they were like, we're not actually going to talk about any of that. We're not going to address those allegations or what we've done. This press conference is for the games. And so, Dave, tell us about the games.
so the whole stream itself was pretty interesting because it was a live event. So people on various media platforms were able to join with them, engage them.
Okay,
They were handing out free copies of games and things like that, which was cool.
nice.
So for a corporation, of even to say over a couple 10,000 copies of something that's not really selling very well anymore. It doesn't. You give out Steam codes, then all of a sudden people have that and they're playing it on Steam.
Yeah, exactly.
But it really did kick off when, first of all, they acknowledged that they are collaborating with Apple TV on the Apple TV game development show called Mythic Quest. Did you see anything about that?
No.
Oh, you know what? It's worth a trailer. Partially because of the cast of it. The lead character is Rob McElhenney. In any case, he is one of the leads and head writers from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia,
Okay.
and I absolutely love. Here's a trailer announcing. So it's a TV show about game development and a game development
Okay.
company.
Okay.
And so I have a feeling that they will be doing something with Ubisoft to make this a thing, which I absolutely. This is the thing that will make me get Apple TV, the show,
Okay.
like
That's
single-handedly.
that's fair. Various um streaming things getting killer apps like that. Like I got Disney Plus because of Mandalorian, so excuse me, I say go and
Also,
let's
while
bring
Boder's
up.
doing that, by the way, folks, so Disney Plus is now offering where you can get Disney Plus and Hulu and ESPN. Yeah, I know it's not really much to watch on there right now, but you can get it at a base package of $12.99 a month. Here's a free plug for you to combine those two $10 sub services and pay one $10 sub service. But look at this is, uh,
Of the credit. This game has something that no one.
so again, it's looking like early 2000s.
Okay.
Hey, can I get a coffee? Everybody has that game that they fell in love with because they make an impact. Those games were somebody's legacy. Well, this is my legacy.
This is everything of what we do, and like it's from a different perspective on it, and I literally I will watch this show and I will get it in some form to be able to report back on it, but
I'm worried about the time.
Yeah, David, I'm moving as fast as I can. It's not my fault that these watermelons don't explode like real heads.
I can get you real heads. Not human.
That's commitment.
I'm sorry.
good. See, isn't it good?
Thing is, like I normally I don't watch comedies because I have a hard time watching them for like a half hour straight. I love watching like scenes from a comedy, but like a whole show I have a hard time with.
That can be difficult, Papa. You can't give up. We're like the Beatles. Together, we make.
Yeah,
But that looks cool. That looks cool though.
Music and everything. But
This is a show that I saw an announcement for it at E3 last year, and I fell in love, but I just don't want to pay for Apple TV. It's the same reason that as much as it kills me, I haven't watched any of Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah, so that's interesting because it's it is a that's not a industry that has been covered in that kind of thing before. Like, there's been comedy about, there's been other workplace comedies, and that's generally what this seems like is a workplace comedy. But like, yeah, with game development as kind of the background of it, that looks like a really cool way to do that. And I hope that it is written and developed by people that really know games and know the industry and aren't going to go for cheap, low-hanging fruit the whole time.
I do hope so as well, because that'll immediately deflate the show. Like,
Yeah, like Dungeons and Dragons movies. There were the official ones that were people that were developed by people that were like, yeah, whatever, fantasy tropes. We'll just make a shitty thing about a group of people going around and there'll be some dragons and it'll be fine. And then you see the ones that were developed by fans that really know it, things like the gamers, that mainly I think of the gamers, and they're really good because they have the right spirit of the game. And so whether this is just going through the motions or really has the spirit of people who are passionate about games, or whether they're just awful people, because I'm definitely seeing some of the awful people complex thing going on here.
I do like that the awful people complex, though, is the person that runs the company. And
Yeah.
so it's also queuing back into the fact that we've talked for the last couple of weeks in a row about, and this person in media got fired, and this higher up got fired, and this higher up got fired, and all these employees got fired by a scummy higher up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it'll be an interesting thing. So that was the amuse bouche, the start of it. Always a good idea to pop having celebrities appear, things like that,
Yep.
without necessarily just having arbitrary celebrities. This was a really good way of involving them without actually having them stand there and go, video games, huh? I don't play them because I have a jet ski, but you play them.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. The last thing I'll say about that is that it looks like that's a nice diverse development team on there, so very unrealistic.
yep.
But again,
But it is for
the white dude
television,
is the
and they
douche,
do
so we'll take that being nice and forward like that.
they unfortunately have to follow the trope of it's a television show, so if they don't have one of this and one of these and a
Well,
scoop
no,
of that and a handful of this sprinkled over
I
it.
do like it though because like that is like yeah, I do want to see like it looks like there's good representation in that. It doesn't seem like there's just token this, token that.
Yeah.
There's not like the token chick in the development team kind of thing.
So they kicked it off, the main part, with like official and real deep looks into Watch Dogs Legion, which, if we
Okay.
remember, during E3 last year, you got all the information about a lot of these things, and they're talking about it's October 29th, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC, and then the next gen releases will be coming soon. So they'll be having more of an expansion for that and all those things.
Yeah.
If you played Watch Dogs, if you like Watch Dogs, it's going to be right up your alley.
I tried playing Watch Dogs. Watch Dogs is interesting because I really like the setting. I like the ideas of it, but as a game, it didn't gel with me. Like part of it is just that I'm not really a fan of the GTA style of gameplay, and that's very much what it is.
Oh yeah.
So, like I tried to start playing it, and it was fine. But as far as the ideas of the game, I like it a lot. Even back when like the first one was announced during the PS4 announce event. Yeah, so I like Watch Dogs as an idea and whatever. But that's almost something where I might enjoy it in another medium. If they ever make a Watch Dogs movie, sign me up. And Ubisoft has produced, like, I liked the Assassin's Creed movie. So if Ubisoft is like, hey, we're going to develop Watch Dogs into a film, I'd be like, yeah, you have my confidence. Let's do this.
I'm looking forward to it, and I'm hoping that they'll continue to learn from the missteps and develop something good. And so the next game that they talked about.
Before you move on to the next game, more like Rigor Mortis says, summarize the entire last 45 minutes. Sexual misconduct at Ubisoft, people got fired, and Ubisoft is bad even if they're not as big as the other bad ones. So that was at least the last half hour. Also, Google Stadia is still a thing, which is surprising to us. Yeah, that's the last 45 minutes. Put it that way, and it's like, why are we on the air?
Yep.
But thank you so much for listening to us and allowing us to ramble about such things endlessly that could be summed up in about 10 seconds.
Yeah, that's the drawback of talking head shows. Um, there's
I
fuck
mean,
all you
you
can
you
do about
could
it.
you could just get a clip in there saying like Google Stadia is still alive, or you can hear us rant for 20 minutes about like how. Also, that game looks interesting. It's a shame it's on Stadia. All right, so that was Mythic Quest, Raven's Banquet,
Yep.
and then that was Watch Dogs. Sorry, I'm catching up. So then that was Watch Dogs. Watch Dogs Legion being not necessarily announced, but showing more about that game. It's looking good. It's looking sharp.
They announced a new 2D fighter called Brawlhalla. Not much, not much to it. It is going to have crossplay with everyone, so it will be one of those titles that comes out PS4, Xbox One, PC, and potentially Switch. So interesting, but that's the gimmick. The thing that got me excited was their announcement of Elite Squad. It is a return in a sense to the Splinter Cell universe.
Okay.
It is not a Sam Fisher game. Sam Fisher does appear in it, but it's more in the vein of what if Team Fortress 2 wasn't online multiplayer because all the characters look of a certain style, but the combat and things work in the same way of the Ubisoft previous titles, a la your Rainbow Sixes, your things
Your
like
Tom
that.
Clancy games, which I'm all of a sudden
Yes.
like, when was? Are they still putting out Tom Clancy games?
Slowly. The last
Slowly.
one they
Okay.
did was one. It's a live services game, so it's Rainbow Six
Yeah.
Siege, and they've
Okay.
been working with that. It's
Right.
actually playable now, but if you bought it like a lot of us did on day of release, there wasn't anything to play, and so you quickly uninstalled it.
Yeah, I remember late 2000s, late aughts. There was a ton of Tom Clancy games. There was Splinter Cell, Rainbow Six, Ghost Recon, Hawks. I own at least one Hawks game just because I had the voice attack stuff.
And they
Um,
were good.
they were
Those were well
good.
done.
They
Like
were they were good, and they ended up like tying in a little bit. Hawks tied into the Ghost Recon storyline a bit, which was really cool. And for a while, they had really good box art design too. You line them all up next to each other. They have a very nice. Anyway, but then it's like Ubisoft was like, "Hey, we're gonna work. Assassin's Creed is our cash cow now, and we're gonna work on that instead of Tom Clancy games because we're sick of paying this guy to use his name on games."
Tom Clancy, Prince of Persia. Now instead we have what remains of Assassin's Creed after all those plastic surgeries, and you're friends with it, and you're worried, but you don't have anything to say to them yet about it. You just can't catch them in
um,
between doctor's visits. But
I actually over the last couple years, it's
some of those
almost
games have been shit, Boater.
no, no, but I'm saying like ever since Origins, the series has
Fair.
changed so much that it's nearly unrecognizable. So it's falling out of touch with someone that you were friends with 10 years ago, and then you're like, I barely recognize you. I'm happy to meet this new you, this new person that is you. And like, yes, we have history, we have that history. But I'm excited to see as you've reinvented yourself, Assassin's Creed.
A history you didn't bother to finish up on, you sons of bitches.
They did, and then they kept going. That was the
Exactly.
problem. They finished the
You can't
story
say
in
the end
2012.
and then turn the page and go, but then, and it's like, so it's not the end. Like what?
It's like
They
how The Fast and the Furious was supposed to be a standalone movie. And then they were like, well, Chris Walker died. That's no, Paul Walker. Walker, the guy.
Paul
Paul
Walker.
Walker. Paul Walker died, so it's like, well, we're done making these movies now. That was a good send off for him. Guys, we need more money. All right, we're doing another one.
We'll just spin off the side characters. It's fine.
More like Rigor Mortis says, what historical civilization would you like to see on Assassin's Creed? And let me expand that question. Which historical civilization at which point in time? Because like French Revolution has happened at this point. Like when the American Revolution came out, one of Yahtzee's criticisms were like, yeah, okay, that's interesting for the people in the States, but for the rest of us, the French Revolution was actually a lot more important to world events, and eventually they got there. What historical moment, where and when, would you like to see in Assassin's Creed? I would be interested in seeing an Assassin's Creed take on some of the events in Romance of the Three Kingdoms. So like
Ooh.
Dynasty Warriors, but Assassin's Creed gameplay.
I would like to see that. The problem is I really don't want an Assassin's Creed Warriors game. I just don't want that.
Yeah.
It's fun with Gundam. It's really fun with Legend of Zelda, and it shouldn't be, but it is, by the way. Spoiler alert! If you
Right.
see
No,
that
I'm
at a game
not, I'm
store,
not saying
buy
that
it.
gameplay,
But-
but I'm saying like that period. And I know that Romance of the Three Kingdoms is like at least 50% fiction.
It's the same way that Santa Claus is based in fact, sorta, kinda.
But like I would like to see that that period of China
yes.
explored in an Assassin's Creed. I think that'd be
Well,
really
think
cool.
about that. Think about the changes in power that happened in that. Yes.
There haven't been any Eastern Assassin's Creed games. Like there might have been one for the Vita or something. No. I think there was one under discussion.
Nothing
at one
that
point.
went that far east.
Yeah. I think the furthest east that the game has been was Istanbul for Assassin's Creed Revelations. Or sorry, Constantinople.
I would really like. Picture with me, voter. 509 BCE. The Romans have just replaced the monarchy with elected magistrates, and now they're about to ride this motherfucker straight into the history books and create one of the most lasting imprints, because they're going to destroy lots of other nations and their histories, but lasting memories. I would love to have an Assassin's Creed game based upon that.
Right at the start of the Roman Republic. That could be
Yes.
cool. That was one thing I liked about
Start or the end of it, not the middle of it. Not interested.
that was one thing I liked about Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, which takes place entirely within the city of Rome, is that you can occasionally go into the ancient history of Rome, the founding of the city kind of thing, with some of the side quests that you can do around there. Demon Dragon wants to go just a little further east and get us a samurai Assassin's Creed game. More like Rigor Mortis says, a Silk Road route would be awesome for gameplay.
There would be so much interconnectivity with the previous you could easily draw interconnectivity with the previous Assassin's Creed games.
And that's one thing that they did a lot for a few years, where the protagonists of 3, of Rogue, of 4, of Unity, all like it was all a similar period, so it all kind of wove into each other. And the Silk Road would be a device to allow them to tie together not just a lot of interesting places, but also to masturbate with their own storylines. Demon Dragon noting that Ezio is the best assassin from Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood, and Revelations.
I gotta go with my boy Altair. Just gotta. He stole my heart. He stole my heart, and he kept it. Because it wasn't his
best
fault.
assassin.
His games were. I don't know if best. I don't know if best, but he stole my heart, and he still hasn't.
Okay. I like Assassin's Creed 1 for its unassuming simplicity of, before a whole lot of extra stuff was added in. But that game is flawed, and that game will be played on the Citadel at some point.
Speaking of games that you probably won't see on the Citadel, though.
Oh.
Hyperscape. Boater, when you hear the words Hyperscape, what genre of game do you think that Ubisoft would be bringing to the table now in 2020?
I noticed mention of it once or twice.
Okay.
But with what looked like very strong color, like big bold colors on black, and I'm just like, I know you said Hyperscape, but
yes,
there's a crosswire in my brain that's hearing Hyperskate, and I want a Jet Set radio game.
So we mentioned harmonics. Now we're scooping into the Christmas list of I really want this back, and we don't well. you, me, and the Nerd Glasses regulars deserve those games, but we as a society don't really deserve them. I should say. But it's okay, we're getting there.
No, let me just dig out my old Xbox thing that is Jet Set Radio Future and Sega GT 2002 that will only play Jet Set Radio Future on later consoles.
But Boda,
I popped that in a couple weeks ago and I was like, I'm gonna play this, and I didn't even leave the opening garage area. I was like, oh yeah.
I can't wait to. Speaking of not leaving the garage area, play Tony Hawk's Remaster.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna get that day of, and I'm gonna be grinding around and screaming and yelling in the store, and Dan's gonna get really mad. Look forward to future streams. But 2020, a year of opportunities, a year to start trend setting. So Ubisoft decides to make another Battle Royale title that looks just like someone played Valiant and then looked at Overwatch.
You talk about the Battle Royale game. I'm gonna take a nap.
Oh, my point is that they've made another Battle Royale game. But then a high point, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and an actual trailer, not just cutscenes.
Hooray!
So good things came out of that. But the big announcement that caught my attention was the announcement of Far Cry 6. And I would like to show the trailer of that one as well, just so that we get a perspective on it, because
Okay.
I know that we do have a diverse watcher base here, so everyone actually this trailer will elicit different responses, and I'm very excited to see how everyone perceives it.
Let me click that thing that pops up over everything here in chat. Okay, fine. I'll just go to my chat window in Skype and open this up and then copy this over to the site that I have so I can have it loop. And meh.
It's
Working on it, Dave.
it looks like it's going to be good.
Dave, have you played any of the previous Far Cry games?
Yes.
I never got around to actually playing them. Like I, again, heard good things. They look like good ones to play. I think the stupidest thing about Far Cry was that at one point they said, "Oh well, this most recent one is definitely not political," which is bullshit because Far Cry is a very political series.
This trailer will show that they did not shy away from that this time around.
Good. Well, even like the developers of 5 had made a game where
it's a religious cult.
A white cult leader messes with the indigenous group and whatever, and then they're like, but it's not political from the marketing guys. But this
it's of course it's not political to them because they live in Fresno, California, and don't have to live around white supremacy or experience white supremacy. So it's not political to them. What do they care?
So as this plays, what's this?
Look what that guy just did.
Look at that pre-rendered footage, everybody. So Dave, tell us about Far Cry 6.
So again, just the trailer released so far. And as you're seeing, it is literally as the information as we're given. It looks to be taking on another heavy topic of civil unrest and things like that in the world. I cannot say exactly where because I don't want to use my own scope of visuals and things like that. But base your opinions based upon these visuals in the preview of its civil unrest, a monarchy or a almost communist-like state has started to come under attack, and it looks like the monarchy is starting to give up the ghost, and they're realizing that they're going to have to fight the.
That was That was a really. I'm gonna rewind that just a little bit because that was a really cool skyline. There is a lot going on in that skyline. Is this something that takes place in real world, or have they invented their own country so that, well, we're not gonna offend, say, China with this, so we can still sell it there, but we're gonna make up our own place for the allegory. But there's a lot going on in that skyline.
Yes, which makes me very interested because they're doing the same thing they did with Far Cry Primal, which is a game that I paid for 3 copies of to make sure that Mike and Ducey, long may he live, Call of Duty champion, um, will play, and the both of them played it, not a lot, but they played it because I paid for it. Um, and I am very interested. By the way, if you don't recognize that face, that
Yeah, I was
is
gonna say I do recognize that face.
the famous actor from Giancarlo Esposito from Breaking Bad, and many other things. But
Uh-huh.
that's where that's where the banners are going to say like Breaking Bad. They're not going to talk about like, but like, he's playing the character you want him to play, the soft-spoken, well chess-playing, conniving
Yeah.
leader, and I cannot wait for this game. It just like if it's anything like Far Cry 5 in gameplay and things like that, it's going to be a good game for the $59-$69 price point because there's going to be more than 50 hours worth of gameplay to unpack, and not just samey gameplay, but objective based storylines, all
Yeah.
these things going on. And it's the one thing that Ubisoft did decide they were going to put the effort into was Far Cry and the Assassin's Creed games. They went with, we're reinventing the wheel here for Assassin's Creed, and we're not going to skimp on Far Cry because people loved these nuances in story and things like that, and their audience does pay for those.
Yeah.
So fantastic job us for showing Ubisoft especially that single player is the way to go. And that the player base, do buy those games just as much as you would buy a live services game and things like that.
Yeah.
But the problem is that was it.
Yeah, so like a couple really good. To be fair, I mean like, so I don't know how long the stream was, but like still, it's cool that hey, here's a couple of really good like single player experiences. They're not multiplayer, they're not live game as you said. The unfortunate thing is that like they're not original. They're continuing, this is Far Cry 6 and it is far from the 6th Far Cry game. You could even consider that like as an extension of Crisis that there's been so many games along these lines. And sorry, I'm just watching this again.
See, it's doing exactly what
Yeah.
it wants you to do.
Yeah, it's a good cinematic. Um, and then like Assassin's Creed, there's been like 24 or something like that. I'm thinking back now on what we talked about. You mentioned Watch Dogs. The only original one that I can think of is the Battle Royale game. Which,
And
frankly, at this point, if Ubisoft was like, we need to make a Battle Royale game, they should have gone with like Ghost Recon Battle Royale. If you're going to enter a saturated market, you need to do so the way that Activision did by having an existing IP, an existing franchise that you then launch into that new genre with.
Yep.
So not Jet Set Radio Future is just going to bomb.
They're trying to do what a lot of the companies are doing right now, which is Valorant did not blow up like they thought it was going to. Tarkir is not drawing in the casual fans because it is too damn hard. And then they're trying to catch these players that are sick of Call of Duty Warzone because of either Call of Duty or Warzone itself, who are sick of playing Fortnite because Fortnite or Epic Games. And things like that. So they're trying to create another level for someone to fall from, to land on this one, to then roll off and fall off of.
Yeah.
And I do wish them the best on it because this could be the one, but I doubt it. The one last thing, Boater, I did want to, I'll shelf the rest of my stories, but I did send you that initial video because there is a challenge that started today in my personal favorite game, and I would love to talk about it and show it off because
Oops,
the
I
visuals.
just closed the tab. I guess we have no more time then. Oh, I'll bring that back up.
I can resend the video for you
No,
as well.
Dave, I got it. It's fine.
The visuals for it are in and of itself the reason why Overwatch is a game that I love just so much.
It is a really cool art style, I will say.
And the fact that they pay lots and lots of independent artists to do these, and then they get money out of it. It's everything to like about it. Sigma is a fun character. If anyone has watched the Dave streams, when he was announced, myself, Akai, and Steve dove in and tried to figure out how does he fit into the meta, because he is a tank, so he is supposed to absorb a lot of damage, things like that. But that motherfucker looks dapper as hell in that suit. Considering how problematic his character can be considered, because he is considered a character of being incarcerated or put into asylum and things like that. So the fact that they are giving him character development outside of, oh yeah, and he's the crazy one, haha,
Yeah.
because that's a character.
Yeah.
Looking at you, DC Comics, crazy's not a character type.
Might have
But-
been acceptable 60 years ago, but come on.
The thing that I'm most excited about is the idea that Overwatch does this release, where in the preview you guys saw, if you watch 2 hours, if you watch 4 hours, if you watch 6
like
hours.
if you're watching on stream, and I like that they're able to do that.
Yep. If you sign up for your Activision Blizzard account and you link it to your Twitch or your YouTube or your what have you streaming service, you get what are called drops, which is just free in-game items just for watching, say, streams that play Overwatch, like a Friday or the Dream Team when they do it, or Insane Games TV when we do these things, and you're getting free stuff from Blizzard just for watching them. They do also have their own sponsored streamers, things like that, and
But you don't have to be watching one of their approved streamers, just anyone playing the game.
Anybody watching that any streamer that has drops approved, which is a 3-click process. So if you have any streamers out there that don't, let them know that they're giving themselves less of an advantage on here. But yeah, it's free stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun. Overwatch is also going to start plugging their music and talking about their music producers and things like that. So act like Blizzard doing a good these days. Also excited because this is rolling into the fact that we were told when Overwatch 2 was announced, Papa Jeff came on and he said we might slow down with the content, but instead, because, COVID and things like that.
Yeah, they've done a good job keeping it up.
Hitting hard with this Overwatch content, and it does my heart good, and I cannot wait for more of it. This Sigma Maestro skin, I cannot wait to talk about it next Tuesday, because we are going to unlock it this Friday, and it's going to be great.
Nice.
Me, Steve, and Akai are going to get it this week. But yeah, it's going to be so much fun, and I cannot wait to show clips of it.
So that does bring us to the end of the podcast. We had mentioned a few things as far as like new releases on PC and like Halo 3 and Death Stranding, and I guess we'll just have to talk about them next week. But we'll get there.
We'll get there, Death Stranding. Don't you worry about it. We'll talk about you.
You know what would just be great is if you actually had a cardboard standee of of Sam Porter Bridges just off screen.
Dan, I would like to propose something for the budget.
Yeah, I want that. It's never on camera, but we know.
By the way, down below, if you want to donate that for us to buy, you can just hit that link in our subscriber. Or you can PayPal us. It's fine. We'll just take that. Boater,
yes.
The excitement started with Danny NASCAR today.
Yep.
We have rolled into the nerd glasses, and now the crescendo, the build of the evening, the swell, the song is coming to its biggest point. What's going on the Citadel?
Oh, well, it's great that you're using musical terms there, especially since we had just watched the one with Maestro for the Maestro skin. But yes, we are going to be playing Bard's Tale, and I did this just last week. I know this, but for a couple reasons. Number one, I think we're almost done with the game, and I kind of want to finish the game. I think we're at about that point where we're going to be going through end game stuff. Number two, and I'm fine taking a couple minutes to talk about this, but Dave, you mentioned it. Insane Games is open.
I didn't want to scare anybody, but yes, Insane, your local game store and your 3 Insane Games employees have returned to the store. We are helping. We have done our back warm ups and things like that, and we are picking up the Wilton Mall, and we are ready to carry it for another couple months.
Um, and if you don't know anything on this, feel free to just say so. Is there any word on when we will be able to return to the Insane Games studio?
Well, you'll just have to, ladies and gentlemen watching out there, keep tuning in for Insane Games TV streams, because we, Boder and I, will be privy to future chain emails and things like that. But all I'm going to say is next week might be a big week.
And whether or not it's next week or not, I figure it'd be a good thing for me to get out the game that is still being played on my PC here at home. The others that I'm playing are on the Xbox and would be able to transfer out to the studio. So yes, we're going to be hopefully finishing Bard's Tale tonight. So we'll see, and really hoping to get there. So for those of you that are new to this song and dance, what'll happen is that Nerdglasses is going to go offline. There will be somewhere between 60 and 90 seconds as I change the stream title and change my webcam crop and whatever. And then I hit the go live. There's going to be a 10-minute countdown. Go get some popcorn. Go to the bathroom if you gotta. And then sit down. We're in for the long haul. We're going to try to finish Bard's Tale tonight.
Hell yes.
Connor B, thank you so much for popping by. I'm glad we got to see you. I'm ashamed that you can't stick around for Bard's Tale, but thank you for watching Nerdglasses tonight.
More like rigor mortis, as always, and Demon Dragon. Thank you guys for joining in and collaborating with us in creating content and helping to make this show as fun as it is.
And on that note, everyone have a great night, and I will see you in just a few moments on the Citadel. Bye.